Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Sparks Plug podcast. I'm Tom Sparks. And today's episode is for anybody who's ever had an idea and thought, man, I really wish I could pull this off. I've got Matt Gia on the show today. Did I screw that up?
You got it.
He's the founder of Auto HDR. And we're going to talk about the journey behind the scenes, not just the wins, but the stress, the doubt, hard decisions, and all the stuff you can't learn from a YouTube video. We're just going to have real conversations with them. Matt, I'm glad you're here.
Yeah, excited to talk today. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So for people who never have heard of you, you're kind of a rock star, as I've said many times before, but for people who have never heard of you, who's Matt in your own words?
Yeah, first, I appreciate that very much. My team is also rock stars. Like, I've made the decision to kind of be the face of the company and talk at these conferences, but just as much as I'm dedicated and like ride or die Auto HDR, I have a team that also sacrifices sleep and their time and energy to make it all happen. So they're awesome as well. But
Yeah.
me, the question is what? Who's Matt?
Yeah. How would
Yeah.
elevator pitch? How would you describe yourself to somebody?
The TLDR on Matt is I would categorize myself as I'm pretty optimistic person, pretty persistent, and I'm obsessed with whatever I do. So the first thing in my life was kind of the real estate photography business that I scaled up. I was obsessed with that. I just wanted to make the best videos possible, shoot the best photos, and then I got into software and machine learning, became obsessed with that, and that led to Auto HDR. But yeah, at the end of the day, I just want to I want to be the best at what I do. That's kind of what drives me, and I want to create cool things that are kind of like magical experiences to use or look at.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty cool. You know, I was doing a little research and dove deep on YouTube, and did I see some gymnastics type stuff
Yes.
on there?
Yeah.
So
I don't know how far back you want me to go, but that's the
no, but I was like, well, what is this? And it was you doing some miraculous type things that I could
yes.
never do without killing myself on a trampoline. And I was thinking, man, you must have really had to practice. So to your kind of point, you seem like whatever you focus on, you just really go hard at and do
That's
well.
yeah. So the first thing in high school, pretty much all I did was compete in trampoline. So the videos you saw, yeah,
Yeah.
if you look at my Instagram, it's all just like trampoline videos. It was all that I did. That's how I got into video and video editing, was
Yeah.
making these trampoline videos. And there was this big Instagram community, and we'd compete. And I got up to, I think I was 18th in the world. And then I like
Wow.
injured my back and just I started doing the videos full time. I love making videos.
Yeah.
In real estate, like you found, and like I'm sure a lot of people have found who are watching this, is such a good niche to get into, because you can leverage your talent and actually like make money doing something. So that's how I got into the real estate video. But yeah, I was completely all in on gymnastics and freestyle trampoline for like 5 years there.
Did you hurt your back on the trampoline? Was it
Yeah, it wasn't like one traumatic accident. I had a lot of screw ups.
yeah.
One day I broke both of my feet on Christmas, much to the dismay of my family. I ruined Christmas. But no, I had to stop trampoline just because the amount of repetition and overtraining just adds up on your back. And it got to the point I was like 17 and I couldn't walk around because my back was so screwed up.
No.
So I had to find a new hobby.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I was sitting there watching like 30 seconds. I was like, I'm getting dizzy. I gotta turn it off. But they looked, cool, crazy. I can't, I'm not surprised you were ranked that high as you were.
It was, yeah, it was
Pun
fun.
intended.
It was fun. Yeah, super high risk, but something about it, yeah, just making videos, trying to inspire the people, trying to do stuff no one's done before on the trampoline was super fun.
Yeah.
Yep.
How were you inspired to get into real estate media or just photography in general? Did you start with real estate media or did you start with other stuff?
Yeah, so I was shooting a bunch of these videos, and I just loved making videos. I think to sum it up, and I've seen this really. I saw, so I'm like pretty good friends with JT Visuals, who in my opinion is one of the best videographers by far. just in general in the country. Like he can make videos that light you up with goosebumps, that make you feel something, that give
Yeah.
you emotion. And watching the way that he lights up and the happiness he gets when someone watches one of his videos made me realize that's kind of the same reason I do a lot of what I do. So I got into making videos and these films because I wanted to make people feel something, inspire people, much like he does. And that's how I got a passion for video. And I was just working like an hourly job. I was, 17, 18, not making much, hauling moorings in a mooring field. And this was on the island that I was on, Nantucket, during
Yeah.
high school. And there's nice houses, but there was no professional media of any sort. And so I started shooting these videos so that I could try and quit my job and have like a stream of income from something I like doing, be my own boss. Like,
Yeah.
so why we all get into real estate media. And then noticed we had no HDR photos, started shooting photos and then drone and built my media company, Luxury Vision, which was Nantucket's like first full service media company. And that's really how I got into it. Was the passion for video originally.
Was it hard to get your first client, your first paying client?
First paying client, not really. So the first job I ever did was a real estate broker who was kind of a family friend was like, "You're making all these videos. Shoot one of these listings that I have." And I shot it on like a 20 millimeter, super cropped in, looked horrible, like the worst video ever, not even
Yeah.
usable.
Yeah.
Um, but I'm like, okay, there might be demand. So I just got the email for every single broker on our island, just emailed them, and like one person responded, and I made 150 bucks in an hour of shooting, which was how much I would make in like a day or two before. I'm like, all right, I'm all in, let's go. And so then it was like emails, calling, showing up to the brokerages, just how many videos can we get done, pretty much.
Yeah. Do you remember like, I have a story behind this question, but when you made it big, what your first kind of like splurge purchase was at the age you were at?
I mean, I don't really consider myself having made it big, but like the first time I actually felt like I had made real money in that business was our first like 100K month was the moment where I was like, okay, this is actually pretty serious money. Um, but I've not purchased anything.
Hmm.
I generally like save or reinvest back into the business, and ultimately
Yeah.
all that money from my media company, I've invested 100% of it into Auto HDR and like all the GPUs and training sets and team.
Yeah.
So I guess that was the splurge purchase where all my money went.
Yeah, it's a good purchase. Well, my first significant pay increase was going from $4.25 an hour part time to I think $19 an hour full time. And this was back when DVDs had just came out, and I went to the mall like I'm gonna buy a DVD player and I'm gonna get all these DVDs. And
Uh-huh.
uh, by the time I got done walking the mall, I was like, man, I don't want to spend this money. I worked too hard for it, and I just
Yeah.
ended up going home. I didn't even buy a book that day.
What
Um,
was the pay increase from you? What job you started?
I went I went from being a recreation leader at an after school program with kids, making like $144 a month, to working in IT for a ISP,
There you
and
go.
I was making like I think 20 an hour, somewhere around there, 2021.
Nice bump.
Yeah, good little pay bump, and that was full time. So I thought I was balling. It's
Falling
like
out of control.
I'm rich. I'm rich. So when you started doing real estate media and videos, was there any particular moment that you were like, man, I'm just going to quit? This is not working out. And then if there was that moment, how did you get past that and move forward?
Man, I have to think back because real estate media now I've been doing, I guess, like 6 years. That business has been around. So no, with media, there was no particular moment where I ever thought I was going to quit. There were certainly really like tough moments that everyone runs into. I
Yeah.
think most of the time in that business, it's funny too because thinking back, the fires that happen, like scaling Auto HDR, make the ones in that business seem like nothing. But in the moment, they felt like the end of the world.
Right.
And that applies to any business you're running because you work so hard. And it was always like the biggest fires, the biggest times where I was like kind of shitting myself was when I would hire a photographer for the first time. It was a super high end client. I'm away at college and it's up to that photographer to execute. I trained them, I showed them examples, and
Yeah.
I get the feedback. I'm looking over it and it's like the gimbal wasn't balanced and we can't go back to the house.
Yeah.
Or I hired someone and they just held the camera and pointed straight down. And I had to rectify it, like getting the Matterport stills, running it through an editor, sending those to the client. Those were like the biggest fires. And like, I don't know if I can ever have someone else do this as well as me. Was more the thought. Like, am I the only one who's ever able to do this for this to be scalable? That was the main like limiting belief and hardest thing to get through.
Yeah, I've definitely hit that a few times in my business. I got into doing videos because I was creating tutorials for my team, so I didn't have to
Right.
keep repeating myself every time I brought somebody on. It wasn't at all for like the creative aspect or giving people goosebumps. It was like I don't want to keep talking every time I hire somebody. And when
Smart.
they, when things went awry, if something was missed or messed up, I took it personally because my name's on the business and it's my reputation on the line. And, you would have thought that I cut somebody's finger off as a surgeon. I was like, I'm so sorry. And they're like, dude, just add more clouds to the blue sky swap that you do. And I'm like, it'll never happen again. I'll give you a discount on the next shoot, because I just wanted that repeat business.
Yeah.
Um,
But that's,
yeah,
I don't even think that's an overreaction. I think that's just what makes good businesses. Like, you need to be obsessed as an owner over the customer experience. Um,
yeah,
and I've talked to a lot of real estate media business owners at this point, and the common pattern between all the biggest ones and the ones that get into it and scale up the fastest are not like they have the best photos or the best videos or anything like that. It's just like their customers love them either as people because it's like very relationship based, or they have the best availability in customer service. And if something ever does get messed up, they're fixing it immediately. And it's like the customer service and personal aspect is the
yeah,
majority of this business. And you got to figure out how to scale that.
yeah. My grandmother was very, very wise, as most grandmothers are, and she taught me early on that anybody can learn brain surgery or how to fly a space shuttle, but it's really, really hard to teach quality customer service. And you got to almost treat people like family, and show that you value their business and that you really want to earn their business and not just you're here to take their money. um,
Yeah, totally.
so yeah. When you were scaling, so you started and then you went to college. How was the scaling process for you as far as bringing on other photographers? Were they W-2s or 1099s, and what was that transition like from going by yourself to now you have to rely on other people?
Yeah, so the first step was like I was going to college. I knew I had to find someone to keep shooting while I was there. And so my high school photography teacher was the first person that I went to and that I trained up. And she took over doing shoots like after school while I was away. And yeah, it was basically like I had to train her. I made some basic documents. We did a bunch of test shoots. And then everything that would go to our editors that she'd upload, I'd be looking at like crazy and then like trying to retrain her and make sure all the deliverables were good. But I had a
Yeah,
really hard time at first trying to instill the skill set that I had, and frankly, that was just a gap on my end where I didn't train as well as I could, which was like learning number one. Um, I think like you need I can go through learnings, but yeah, I hired her and then I hired another person, and ultimately was able to get it pretty passive, but I was still doing a lot of the scheduling and coordination. And then the next step was like, cool, let's get scheduling software. Let's automate this as much as possible. At the time, I was using human editors. So it was like, we need to automate the communication with them. And then I was
yeah,
able to get to a point where like sophomore, junior year, bookings would come in, it would notify the photographer, they would show up, they'd upload the photos, they get edited, our VA would deliver it. And so I was very hands off and it was just kind of passive while I was at college and I could just do sales if I wanted. But main learnings are like systems, getting the right people, and then making the people successful is like the main things you need to focus on.
yeah. I have a lot of photographers who work for me, and some of them do their own thing on the side. Um, and it's interesting. There's a clear delineation between like the people who want to be a business owner and the people who just want to be a photographer. Some people don't want to have to deal with scheduling and sales and marketing and all this other stuff. They just want to go out and shoot. And I even get in that mindset sometimes. Some days I go out to shoot and the client who's used me, hundreds of times before is shocked that I'm there. Sometimes they don't even know that I'm the owner. And I'll just have
Yeah.
like a name tag on that says Tom, and they're like, Tom. And I go, yeah, Tom Sparks. And, oh my God, you're here. So, sometimes I like to get out and just shoot. Do you still have those days where you want to get out and just get in the mud?
Yeah. Well, I haven't. So someone else runs that business now. And so my involvement is about a 30 to 60-minute coaching call with him, like strategy wise. We go over the biggest issues, the bottlenecks, and that's it. And then the rest of my time is Auto HDR. But I
Yeah.
do love shooting video. We took the whole Auto HDR team to go shoot a house. So like all of our sales reps, all of our developers, marketing, customer success could hold a camera. They all did all of our integrations, all of our automations, like know what it's like. I think that's so imperative to like
Yeah.
be able to visualize and experience what it is like to be a photographer and a customer. And quite frankly, we mostly employ photographers because we want them having intuition around how to build things and talk with people. But I personally love shooting. I love shooting video. Not that I really do it anymore, but when I was in it, yeah, I would go shoot. If it was a banger property, I'd be like, all right, I want to shoot this video. Um,
I,
but on the point of like, yeah, getting photographers versus the business owners, like one of the best things that I learned for photography business owners who want retention for their employees or contractors or shooters, like getting people who like it as a hobby, but do not have the aspiration to go and start a business, in my opinion, are the best hires. People who are shooting like right now weddings or sports or something part time. They have long gaps in their work week, and the best question that we found to weed out if someone's going to turn their back on you and go start their own business, take your clients, at the very end of an intro call, be like, hey, are you willing to sign a non-compete? And quite frankly, like non-competes are banned in most states, but it's a good proxy because if they hesitate at all, then okay, they're probably just doing this to learn and go do something else, try to
yeah.
take your client. But if there's no hesitation, they're like, totally, I'm fine with that. Then you know that they're going to be with you for a long period of time. And that's played out 100% of the time with all of our shooters.
Yeah. That, I have NDAs and non compete. And I've only had to I've only had to fire, I think 2 people that just, did some kind of backhanded stuff, but knock on wood,
Yeah.
I've had, great success with loyal team members. And that's really been helpful and beneficial because I don't have to worry, about, oh my God, I lost 3 clients this month because Bill
Yeah.
picked them up or whatever.
Yeah.
Um,
And I think it's the contract that's going to keep people. It's like, I wouldn't even enforce a contract or expect it to be enforceable. You want
yeah,
people who are from day one. And that's, but if you do have people who want to be a business owner who have that entrepreneurial mindset, we've also found that's great if you can leverage them in the right way and give them shared upside. So like, it's hard to find people who are like that want to work for you, and you also don't want to let go of those opportunities. So we'll leverage those kind of people now and give them commission and let them be like a market lead where we
yeah.
incentivize them on a rev share in that market based on how many shoots per month they get. So like you can tap into that too, but people are in one of those 2 buckets.
Yeah. And it's interesting you said you brought the whole team out to pick up a camera. That's something that I hadn't even thought about that makes total sense because, you don't want somebody in an office who has never went through the process to try to communicate to an agent about the process. It's kind of like it has to be hands
Oh,
on.
I mean the Auto HDR dev team, I meant, not the real estate photography.
No, I get it. I'm talking about just in general. Like if I was to
Oh,
hire an HR person, I'd
right.
probably bring them out in the field to, show
Yeah.
what the photographer
Admin.
goes through, or even a salesperson. Like, if a
Totally.
client asks, how long does this take? I want the person that's on the other end of the phone to be able to clearly communicate how long it
Yeah.
takes and why, and, be able to answer those questions. And that's kind of something that I've struggled with is with sales is like, nobody's going to hustle harder for you than you. And so if I hire a salesperson, are they going to do it how I would want it done? I guess is the
Yeah.
term.
Yeah. I actually have found you can get people who hustle harder than you in a sense. It's just about
Really?
the right incentive. Yeah. It's all about the incentive, right? Why
Yeah.
would you hustle the hardest for you? You have the best incentive, but if you can align it somehow, I've seen people go really hard on sales. But also, you don't want it to be too extreme where like it's more than you because they're being like, uh,
Greedy or
flat
overselling or
yeah,
yeah.
we get rid of those people immediately.
Yeah. Yeah. So how do you define success today with Auto HDR versus when you first started with your real estate media company?
Like for me personally, or for the company itself.
For the company or for you
Yeah,
personally. Yeah. If you have whichever way you want to
yeah.
define it.
So like I started real estate. So real estate media, I really like doing, and then you can also make money as a byproduct, which is really great. And you can build your own thing. You're not working for someone else, and that's something I always love growing and building and be able to innovate. So that was important to me. But I think what really got me to tick from real estate media is when you shoot photos, or more specifically, you shoot a video and you do something new or innovative that no one's ever seen, like a crazy transition or some insane dusk shot or edit or sky time lapse. And I'd always love getting creative editing those. And then I send it to the client and just watch their jaw drop or get an email back that's all caps, like, this is insane, and see the reaction, the comments from the other brokers, and it goes viral. Like that, creating that magical reaction and experience, like, lit me up. I love it. And
Yeah.
so the first time we ever got, with Auto HDR, I was training models and iterating on this. But the first time we ever got it behind a UI, and I dropped in the shoot and got the photos back, and they were edited. Like this is the first like proper AI editor that went live, and so I had never experienced this. But I dropped them in, and I made the model. I got the edited photos back in like 20 minutes, not from a human. And I felt that kind of sense of magic. And then we started giving it to other people and they got that. And we try to do that with every product we release, is like give that magical experience that blows people away. I think that's what everyone on our team loves building. And we just want to create that, is ultimately the sense of it.
Yeah. Um, how hard is it for you? I'm just kind of randomly asking these
Yeah.
questions, but how hard is it for you to block out time for non-work related stuff? Because you seem like you're really busy. You're, doing all these conferences. You're probably doing a ton of interviews, and you're working. Like, what's the process for you to like block out time for fun stuff?
Yeah. Honestly, I don't. And that's starting to become like actually a weak point. Um, so like the last 18 months of my life, there's been nothing except for Auto HDR.
Yeah,
Like no personal time. Honestly, I haven't really seen my family that much, which is bad. I should, but it's
yeah,
like there's so many moments where I feel like it was life or death, or there's an issue, we got to solve it. Where I just haven't done anything else. And at this point in time, like I have a team, I have people who can like focus on the tech, focus on marketing, focus on the product. Where it's actually irresponsible for me to be working on the time all the time because I'll like just burn myself out. But the last 18 months have kind of just been like that,
yeah.
um, which I feel like was needed, but I need to like now be able to, yeah, take more time.
Well, where's your ideal vacation spot? Like, where would you go if you had a week off?
I don't know. I haven't thought about that. So yeah, I'm from Nantucket. The real estate media company is, we're in a few markets now, but mainly Nantucket, and that is a
Yeah.
magical place in the summer. I'll tell you that much.
So
It's
home,
beautiful.
you go home.
Yeah, only in the summer though. In the winter, it's a bit of a nightmare.
Yeah, yeah. Um, let's see. So, do you have any hobbies? I mean, aside from work, and forget the last 18 months and forget trampoline stuff. But is there anything that's probably like a not an unusual hobby, but something you do just to kind of unwind?
So yeah, there's a lot of stuff that I've really gotten into. Like I was into freestyle trampoline. I was competing internationally, and then I got really into weightlifting, where I was very competitive there too. I got up to like a 600-pound deadlift, and yeah, I love making videos. But honestly, Auto HDR is so time consuming. Sorry for the boring answer, but
No, no, no.
no time to think or do anything else except for obsess over this. Like candidly, I when I came to Austin, Texas to do Auto HDR full time, I bought a quadplex. that I was going to manage as an Airbnb to try. I was going to live in one unit. I was going to try and pay for the mortgage with other units and like house hack and have an investment property. And we are so busy that I'm literally turning around in a year. I'm selling it. They're vacant. I'm losing money every month because I don't even have the time and attention to like remotely look at that or deal with that. Pretty much everything is on hold
I feel
because
like they
I'm
have
just
a service for that, right? Like they have
yeah.
clean.
But if a tenant breaks a window, you're still and this happens.
Yeah,
Tenant water damage, window breaks. There's something in the utilities, whatever. It's
yeah.
still like you're getting the phone call to deal with it.
Um, well, I was gonna say I have two younger kids, and my like relaxation is Legos.
Legos.
Yeah, I've always been into Legos, and so now I got all these Legos. I just we make random things, and it's usually me grabbing the pieces that they need. They're calling them out. I need a one piece. I need a three piece. And I'm fishing through this big ass Home Depot box full of Legos, trying to grab a single
That's awesome.
Lego.
You get to
Yeah,
bond with.
yeah, I bond with them, and literally I cannot think about anything else other than I got to find this steering wheel under a million Legos, and
Yeah,
it helps.
I think that's important. It's like you need something. You can either be really disciplined and learn to meditate, where like you can observe thoughts and let them go. That's pretty hard. Or a lot of people get into something like jujitsu, where you're literally fighting someone and you are not able to think about anything else at all, and it
Yeah,
completely resets and refreshes you. I think having something like that is really good.
I didn't think about jujitsu. I'm gonna stick with Legos until I get you know
Yeah.
do some more workouts. So what's a habit or a routine that you do throughout the day to kind of keep you focused?
So I pretty much religiously keep track of my time and what it's spent on. Um, there's also a philosophy I've had since starting of doing one big thing per day. So, especially when you're trying to solve really hard problems and you don't know what the solution is, it's easy to get off track doing a bunch of little things. So, the one big thing was like, I'm going to write this down, whether or not it works. I know that I've at least gotten the feedback of this works or doesn't, and I've made forward progress on one thing every day, right? Then after a year, you've done 365 things instead of being scattered, not committing to one thing. I think
Yeah,
focus is important. Shiny object syndrome is bad, and that's the way that we actually get throughput. And then just time, like tracking your time is good because you know when you're actually doing deep work, what's distracting you if not, and then very importantly, you know when you're spending time on low leverage things. So, for example, an exercise you could do is like in your business, look at what you're doing throughout the week. How many hours do you want to work throughout the week? Is it 50, 40? Is it 60? Whatever, just know that and
yeah,
then keep track of your time and write down what you're actually doing. If you want to be working 40 and you're working 60, you're at 150% of your capacity. Write down all the things you're doing and then go through and be like, is there any of this I just shouldn't do because it's a distraction? Cool. Stop doing it. Is there any of this that I can delegate? Cool. Make the training materials, train someone how to do it, hire them. And then is there anything I can automate? And if you can automate it, then automate it. And now you're hopefully back to 100. You've more energy. You're focused on the higher leverage things. And then you can grow quicker or just get your time back because someone else is doing the thing that you were spending your time on that was a bad use of time. So I
yeah,
think like constantly doing that is important. And the general rule of thumb is like if you're growing, I think it's if you're growing 50% a year, then every 90 days, that what's called an accountability chart will change. So if you're growing faster than that, then it's going to be changing rapidly.
yeah. Ah, the motivational speaker, Matt. This is great. Forget Tony Robbins. We got you. Um, so how do you physically keep track of your time or tasks? Because I'm just going to show you. I have post-it notes everywhere. I got um, a little e-ink pad over here, and I need to get a little more organized with that. But what are you doing? And
The app I use is Toggl. Um,
Toggl. Okay.
yeah, it's good. It's free. I was using a notebook before because it's really nice. Like you can write down what you want to do, put down the timestamp, write a check or an X. But
Yeah.
you constantly are like getting on new calls or talking to people throughout the day. It's going to be a
Yeah.
lot easier to just have like this. that you can start, stop. And then the other cool thing now is like you could do a bulk export of data and then just put it into an LLM like ChatGPT and be like,
Yeah.
give me the percentage allocation of what I've spent my time on. And then it might be like 25% customer support. And it's like, shoot, I got to hire someone for customer
Yeah.
support. Yeah.
Yeah. I recently started using Plod. I bought a little
Claude, yeah.
Plod.
How do you like it?
I love it. I took it to Geo Week with me and used it to capture all the stuff that I didn't have the bandwidth to pay attention to or wasn't going to retain. And then,
So are you using the phone one or the necklace?
I bought the little pendant one.
Yeah.
And I was just either wearing it or I was setting it on a table as a presentation was going on. I know that they have the phone one, but I haven't used that yet. And that's been great because it helps me summarize. It has the mind map. It has the transcript, so I can always go back and reference things. That's been
Right.
helpful. So that's pretty cool.
I have questions on that because I think I bought one like 6 or 8 months ago, and the idea was it would record all my conversations. But I found the software wasn't that good. I'm sure it's getting better every month. So how do you use it? Like, how do you get the data? How do you look at it? How long is the battery?
It was like 8 to 12 hours, but I had a little battery bank, so I would just charge it as needed. It might be a little longer than that, depending on the device you get. The software is great. You can generate summaries based on different kind of templates that people have created. So if it's a sales template or a presentation template or a keynote template, there's different templates you can select.
Interesting.
So yeah, it's been. I would encourage you to try it. Revisit it
Yeah,
if you haven't.
I will. I will. I have the device just waiting. Because what would be awesome is like being able to export all that or take it or have it in an ongoing like database that you could speak with an LLM. So have you heard of like RAG or
No.
like like a lot of companies are having a chat gpt project or some llm they talk to where they have all of their internal documents uploaded
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it can pull. So hypothetically, and I'm sure Plod will just build something like this that you could use, but all of those conversations could be saved and stored for like infinite memory in your bot that you could refer to.
So Dan, when I acquired We Get Around Network, we would do these handover calls, transition calls, and we probably have 30 or 40 of them, and they're sometimes 3-4 hours each, and we get the
Wow.
transcripts from him, and he converted I didn't this is kind of all new to me, but he converted them into SOPs and
Cool.
guides, and then he combined them all and created a GPT,
Nice.
like an admin GPT, so I could literally type in, give me the backstory on this, or tell me how to do
Yeah,
this, and it will literally, it's like I downloaded his brain. And it's been really helpful. It's been
I
really
can imagine.
helpful.
Yeah, that's it. That's RAG. So
Right.
basically, whenever it has all those documents and whatever you type in, it's going to do a similarity search between like your query and
Yeah.
then text throughout all the documents, pull the most relevant ones, and then like use those to formulate the answer.
Yeah.
So that's super cool.
Yeah. So is there anything that you did that turned out to be a failure? Is there
Yeah, a
something that
lot.
you weren't successful at, and what would be the one kind of thing you learned from that made you more successful?
Um, so like there's not some endeavor that I've like failed and given up on. The one thing about me is that I will never give up on anything that I start.
Right.
So I'll fail a ton of times, but I'll bash my head against the wall until I figure it out. So my total most failures have been at Auto HDR. We still have them. Uh, we try to have less of them as we go and have systems to prevent it. But early on, there was a lot. Some of them were hours, some were days, some were months. Um, so yeah, a lot, a lot.
Um, with well, kind of going back to real estate media, um, did you develop a platform, or were you using kind of one of the out of the box platforms that are?
Yeah, I was using Spiro. We still
Okay.
use Spiro. Yep, 100%. That's And ultimately, it was because we could have shoots booked. It would go on the calendar for the photographer on their phone. I was always like, how can I make it so that, and I think this is important for everyone to think about, how can
Yeah.
you make it so that you are not needed at any step of the value chain from booking to delivery? So you need it so someone can book, it goes on the photographer's calendar, they're getting reminders, they're accountable for checking that, and then they show up, shoot, upload it to a folder that automatically gets sent to an editor or edited by AI if you're using that now, and automatically re-imports back to your listing gallery. The one manual step then on your end is like your VA QCs and presses deliver.
Yeah.
Um,
Spiro
so we
does
have
all
that. Mhm. Yeah, and even before Auto HDR, they had it where with the human editor, whenever your photographer uploaded photos, it would email the human editor. The editor would edit, and it gave them a final images folder to upload to, which then populated your listing gallery and notified you. So it was like, in that sense, pretty much automated as much as you could with a human.
that. Yeah. So I'm oh, my workflow. Photographer goes out and shoots, uploads to Google Drive. I download, or my VA, we, delete all the stuff we don't need, upload to another Google Drive for my editors. They edit. Somehow they download or upload. I don't know what they do on that end. And then we re-download, we QC, then we upload to the platform. It's just a lot of bandwidth. And
But yeah,
so I gotta look into Spiro. I one of my goals this year is to kind of do a comparison video on all the platforms. Um,
yeah.
so Spiro's on my list. I haven't had a chance to
So,
talk to Todd yet, but I got an
yeah, you
invite
should,
to,
uh,
yeah, I got an invite to the conference. How was that? Did
it
you
was
did you
great. Yeah, the conference was great in Ohio.
Yeah,
Very
yeah.
cold, but
Cold.
got to meet some new people. Got to see some people from the past rep conference. I
Yeah.
love just talking to them, hearing the business growth, development, problem solving, just like a lot of that. So yeah, always good to see people, talk to them, try to help if I can, talk to clients, that kind of thing.
There's a new one coming out, or not a new one, but there's one coming up called Retcon, and I haven't been to it before. It's in Vegas next month, in a few days. I don't know. I don't know. Have you heard of it?
RepCon?
Retcon, retconference.com.
I've not. No. What am I missing? What is it?
Um, it's a real estate kind of technology conference. Um, and it says our attendees are the reason why Retcon is industry's most impactful real estate innovation event. There's property owners, real estate leaders,
Are
technology.
you
Ret conference.
are you gonna go to it?
I have a media credential. I have to seek permission to attend it and not come back with the plague since it's in
Oh yeah,
Vegas.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So
All
I'm gonna try to be there.
cool. I'm gonna check it out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it looks pretty cool. Um, so Auto HDR, you're all in on this. How long have you been doing it? When did you start?
So the July before this July, I started, iteratively training models, and then that following October 8th is when I hired someone else to run my media business, and then went all in full time, which puts us
A little over a year.
about a year and a half in, about, yep, full
Wow,
time.
that's impressive. How would you say you've grown since then, as far as can you quantify it somehow? Like we've increased 150%, 200%, or we've started doing 40
Yeah,
fold,
well,
now we're doing
we,
3,000 a month, whatever
sure. It was
whatever you can share. I don't want
we're
any.
I mean, it's fine. It's on our website. Like we're February 24th right now. It was last January around the 30th, I think, that we had our first paying customer, which is like we're private but still technically launched.
Yeah.
And then about a year later, I think we're about 15% of the U.S. real estate listings, give
Wow.
or take.
Yeah.
Give or take.
So what's your goal with it in the next 2 years? Like what are you really trying to focus on for the next 2 years?
Yeah, we think. right now we're very focused on the near term, and like we know what our product deficits are. We know exactly what we need to work on, and it's just a matter of execution. And so it's like I originally was writing all the code, training all the models, and that's not my job anymore. My job is to make my team more successful, right? So my
Yeah.
job right now is making sure our development process is extremely fast and efficient so we can have higher throughput, and then getting more developers. I'm spending like pretty much all of my time recruiting right now to try and find really good people, because in my opinion we can't have anything other than the most exceptional developers. And so it's really just perfecting our core competency of what we're doing. And we have things that we're going to do that I think will blow people's minds, but that's going to be throughout the year of 2026. Right now, our immediate core focus is perfecting everything that we do, not straying off, not building low value things. People, our clients, like they have solutions for scheduling and delivery. They want us to be as best as possible at our core competency, which is editing. And
Yeah.
until 100% of the photos don't require QC, you get them back and they look better than the best human editor. We pretty much are going to be doing nothing else.
Yeah.
And we're not going to be building scheduling, regardless. We'll go to more like media adjacent things.
Yeah. That's one of my biggest, I don't know, hesitations is, you know, not having, I don't want to have to QC. Um, there should be a world where whether it's human or AI, it's just done the right way. And even sometimes with my human editors, I'm like really focused on the skies and the clouds, and if they're just flipping them, and I'm like, no, that looks fake. You can't just flip a sky. You got to like do something different. So, um, yeah, that's been one of my biggest like hesitations of diving all in on something and just letting go of the QC is not having that solution that's perfect. It has to be
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah. I think step one is like, what do you, and you probably have done this already, but for anyone listening, what do you look for when you go through a shoot? And you could record a video of you talking about it out loud, um, make looms of it, go through like 10 shoots, have
Yeah.
an AI summarize the transcript, and then give that as a QC document checklist to a VA to do for you. Because
Yeah.
like that is not work that's worth your time. That's, at my media business, we pay someone $4 an hour to look through the shoots, deliver them, revise any feedback. So you got to think about how much your time is worth in that regard. And then, yeah, long term, there is absolutely no reason that that can't be done by AI. If something
Yeah.
can be put into a checklist, you most certainly can do it with AI.
Yeah. Good stuff. Good stuff. I think that's all the questions I had. Is there any last minute things you want to get in before we hit the end on the record?
Um, I mean, let's hear about you had a big acquisition. Congrats on that. I'm just kind of curious. Like, obviously, you don't acquire something unless you got some big ambitions for it. I know you love the space, you love media. It seems like you're all in. What are your ambitions for growing? We get around, or what do you want to do? What's your vision for it?
Yeah. I've said it as I want it to be a train, and I want people wherever they're at in their capture journey to be able to get on this train and learn and then get off when they're ready to get off. So I don't want to be focused just on 3D virtual tours or just on real estate photography. I want to think bigger, and um, I think there's been kind of a cap because Dan has wanted it to remain very kind of real estate photography centric. And I'm all about that, but I also want to include things like surveying using LiDAR, some of the bigger tools that are out there above and beyond like a $6,000 Matterport camera. Think like, Leica, the $30,000 BLK 360. And, I feel like when photographers hit a ceiling, they pivot. And I've certainly had to do that pivot. So,
Yeah,
there was a time when I was doing weddings and I got burned out, and I was like, let me
right.
figure out what's next. And I jumped into real estate. So, the people who are doing just real estate photos, there's a traditional slow season. Um, and I want them to be able to have something else they can do during that slow time so that they're still making money, and they can come to the forum and learn about, different tools, different methodologies. Funny enough, and this is not really related to the vision, but it kind of is. Yesterday I was doing a 3D virtual tour on a couple of barges that were like stuck in mud for years and years. And working in conjunction with NOAA, these barges are going to get dug out and pulled away, but they needed to get visuals on top of the barge. So I'm on this little dinghy. I can't swim and I get motion sickness,
Yeah.
but they, ferry me out to these barges, and then I'm climbing up the side of this moss covered barge. The water wasn't deep, but I didn't want to fall in.
Yeah.
And the deck of the barge is all rusted out, and one of the guys almost fell in, and he like dove, and I don't know if he saved the camera or he almost caused the camera to go in the water.
Really?
But yeah, I was able to get this 3D virtual tour, and I was thinking, coming from where I started photographing models and music artists and then family photos and weddings, I never would have thought I was here. But that's something that if real estate was slow, I can do. And I captured the whole process. I'm going to make a video about it. But, the money that I'm charging, or that I charge for that work, was 4 or 5 real estate shoots.
Wow. Yeah.
So
I am.
there's like cool things that we can do as capture specialists, is what I like to be called now, not a photographer.
Yeah.
And so I want to kind of take the form to that next level. And I really want it to just be very news kind of worthy, neutral, and not funneling people to one product or another, just kind of saying, here's the information, take from it what you need, and
Yeah.
yeah,
How
keep
active are
going.
you guys on like Instagram, social media, like video updates?
You, say that again. I didn't.
Are you guys pretty active on like Instagram,
Oh,
social media with updates? Because that could be big.
no,
Well, that,
it can
that
be.
video is throw on the camera, batch it out like once a week.
Yeah, yeah. I created an Instagram for it last week,
There you go.
so it's coming. There's a lot to it.
There is a lot.
Um,
Yeah. Props to you for taking it on.
yeah,
Yeah. Other thing with slow season, so Nantucket, our market is so bad. Like it could be one of the worst slow seasons in the country because it's a tourist summer destination. The population goes from 15,000 people to 90,000 people in the summer and then back down.
wow.
And the houses only sell in the summer. So pretty much 80% of our revenue is from 3 months. And so what we did is just find a market that has busy season during our slow season, and then it inverted the revenue and offset it. And I would challenge anyone watching, you can
Yeah,
start a new market and open an operation even if you are not physically there, if you have someone who's boots on the ground that does care and you can go out there occasionally. So we spun it up pretty quickly.
yeah,
I got another question for you. I got a couple, I guess, while we have time. What do you see? You go to a lot of these real estate conferences too and talk to people outside of just real estate photographers.
yeah,
In 10 years, we could be, AI is moving very rapidly, right? Like not just what we do, but these foundational model providers like Google,
yeah.
OpenAI, and AI is helping make AI better. So in 10 years, we could have AGI. Who knows? But what do you see if you had to make a prediction as to how real estate is captured in 10 years? What does that look like to be able to capture down to viewing it?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're gonna have cameras. If we're not talking about 3D virtual tours, we're talking about just DSLRs or mirrorless. We're gonna have cameras that we hit a button and it brackets it, but it processes it with AI internally and has just a clean final image. You could have a real estate setting, you could have a portrait setting, you could have a wedding setting. Um, I think humans aren't going to be out of the loop in that regard because there's still that composition aspect and the artistic kind of creative aspect of it. But I think there's going to be a lot of help. Probably I was thinking about people who were doing real estate shoots. When you and I were a lot younger and they had film. They didn't bracket. What did they do? And so they're probably pissed off right now because we've got so far ahead with
Yeah.
what we can do, and then 10 years from now it's a curve, and so
Yeah.
we're right here, and it's just gonna like you know
Uh-huh. Yeah.
go up. Yeah.
100%. It'll be interesting. And then let me ask you this. Like I said, we're always trying to be the best we can. What would you say objectively is the worst part about Auto HDR that we need to improve or work on?
I got to do a deeper dive than what I have into it.
Okay.
But I will say that just in general terms, where I found that AI is, or yeah, AI is not really the greatest, is definitely on virtually staging from multiple angles.
Yep.
That's one big thing that people ask about.
Completely.
And then how it processes writing, such as, or even trees, but really writing, such as like house numbers and the writing on for sale signs. It kind of jarbles it up into that AI text,
Hmm.
and that's somewhere where it could improve. Um,
Yeah.
but those are the two big things that I think I hear about the most when people are like having problems
Yeah.
with any type of AI.
Totally.
Yeah.
Multi-angle staging, I don't think anyone's really done well.
Yeah.
So I don't know when this is going live, but we actually have a really good solution for that. It's not in production yet, but it should be live in probably a week or two. So I'm excited to
Okay.
demo that, show it off to people, because that's a huge weakness. And it's like, well, yeah, I need the whole room with consistent furniture. So it's kind of useless
Yeah.
if you're only able to stage one room. And then
Yeah.
the writing of numbers. Actually, the one strong suit with our model on the core HDR editing is that it will never jarble numbers or text or writing. You can zoom in to the littlest detail with ours, and I promise if you A/B test any other AI, it will be mangled or look like hallucinated text. But ours, we run at full quality and we don't compress. You can A/B test it. Um, so, however, the weakness that we still have on those is like our twilights, which is something that we're actively working on. Those images
Yeah.
get transformed so much. So, anyway, completely agree with you. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Twilight was something I didn't think about, but that's, yeah, I've always hesitated on virtual twilights because they just have looked fake. You still got hard shadow lines if you're shooting, depending on what type of day, and there's shadows
Mhm.
in the daytime photos. You still have those, and the windows are just kind of like a generic yellow, and it just looks, yeah.
I completely
But
agree. Well, yeah, it's important how you're doing it. So, some platforms will just do what's called a wrapper. They take an API from some existing model provider and then
yeah,
send your photo there. You'll know because there will be file size constraints and the shadows won't be gone, and it will look like a human did it because it's trained on Zillow photos. What we have, and what I'll probably send a newsletter out about soon, is one of the only models that can do shadow removal, full quality edits, actually look real without hallucinating anything. And ours are pretty solid
yeah,
with this right now. We'll have an update that has all of that, full quality, no hallucinations in probably 2 weeks. So again, I don't know when this
nice.
will come out, but completely agree. It's like all of these things, when you asked about what we're working on, like we could go and do adjacent things, but these are like legitimate problems that everyone deals with and requires QC or makes it non-usable. And so, in my opinion, until every last little detail is ironed out for those, like, it doesn't make sense to focus on anything else.
Yeah, yeah, I agree.
Sweet.
All right, Matt. Well, thank you for your time today.
Thank you.
I
Appreciate it.
really appreciate it.
On.
Yeah, yeah. I know your time is valuable, so I appreciate you being on. And hang tight. I'm going to stop this recording.
Yes, sir.